This is the origin story of Five Nights at Freddy's. Enjoy. So, somewhere during the 1970s, a crazy British guy named William Afton, who was seemingly obsessed with dancing bears since he was a little kid, decides to team up with an engineer named Henry Emily to finally give life to his furry fetish. The duo had this idea of opening up a restaurant where, in addition to quality food, people would also get access to some quality entertainment, which apparently meant two huge robotic animals singing and dancing like there is no tomorrow. I guess kind of like Hooters, but for animatronic furry lovers. But that's pretty much how Fredbear's Family Diner was born. Initially, William and Henry developed only two animatronics: Fredbear, the diner's mascot, who is basically a big yellowish bear, and Spring Bonnie, a very creepy looking rabbit. Business was great, revenue was all-time high, until their business plummeted harder than your latest crypto investment. And ultimately, Fredbear's Family Diner was closed due to these mysterious circumstances. Sometime later, William and Henry decide on a new venture, continuing with their old style of Chuck E. Cheese-esque animatronic diners. This time, they launched the infamous Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. The new diner has a whole band of creepy human-animal hybrids performing in it, with two more animatronics in addition to the original ones. Chica, a singing chicken who holds a cupcake that looks worse than the one at your local diner, and Foxy, who is a fox but also a pirate, but he doesn't talk, so we still don't know what the fox says. Everything was going good until one day, William's son Michael, along with some of his friends, thought that it would be a really good idea to prank his little brother Evan, who shits his pants every time he sees an animatronic. Michael and his friends forcefully put Evan's head near the mouth of Fredbear in an attempt to scare him. But the spring locks of the suit fail, and the little kid's head is flattened like a pancake, killing him. This became known as the Bite of 83 and received widespread media attention, giving the diner a notorious reputation. William Afton didn't exactly deal with this incident in a healthy way and went batshit insane. This was when he realized that he's maybe not cut out for being a businessman. So he came to the most reasonable conclusion after one fails two businesses: to start murdering children instead. In fact, he initiated his newfound hobby by targeting his business partner Henry's daughter, Charlotte Emily. When Henry found out his partner has gone berserk, he had made an animatronic called the Puppet to protect Charlotte, kind of like an Iron Golem. And just like how Iron Golems are shit at protecting villagers, the Puppet also absolutely sucked at his job, and Charlotte was brutally murdered by William. Eventually, the Puppet found Charlotte's dead body, but Charlotte decided to pull off a Chucky and possess the Puppet, making it the first known possessed animatronic in history.
Oh yeah.
Wait, so does that make her like Ultron from Avengers or something? But anyways, Charlotte was only the start of William's murderous adventures, because after this, it was like a new episode of Scooby-Doo each week. In 1985, he lured a kid named Gabriel along with four of his friends who were there to attend a birthday party into the diner's backrooms. And it definitely wasn't to show them some new tacky Fortnite dance. He murdered the kids and shoved their bodies into the animatronics, which he had modified to be used kind of as costumes, but also dead children dumpsters, I guess. And the weirder part, he wore the purple Spring Bonnie costume while he carried his good-luring crusade. This earned him the name Purple Man, not the anti-hero one would hope for in a diner situation. The diner's reputation took a massive hit as the police could not find the missing children's bodies because apparently William had told them not to touch the animatronics during their search. Which is kind of weird if you think about it, because basically a serial killer tells the police not to search his shit, and they're like, alright, bet. But anyways, many people would later complain about foul smells and blood in the restaurant, which ultimately led to its closure. On top of that, the ghosts of the kids refused to move on to the afterlife and instead lingered in the animatronics in which they were stuffed in. Not sure how they had the choice to just not move on, but I guess someone's gotta punish William. Gabriel, who was a fairly mild-mannered child back when he was alive, became the murderous goofball we all know as Freddy Fazbear, and thus began the quest for vengeance. The animatronics' only goal was to exact revenge on the man that had killed them, William. The only problem, though, They couldn't differentiate between William Afton and any other random security guard just doing his job. So, if you wore a uniform and carried around a torch, your ass would get ripped by these animatronics. But over time, they didn't even stick to security guards and just went on complete murder sprees, which we'll get into later. After the diner shut down, William accepts the dark side like Anakin Skywalker and opens up another location called Circus Baby's Pizza World. Here, he would specifically design animatronics to kill anyone present in the location in the after hours. So, at this point, he's not even trying to hide his bloodlust. One animatronic in particular, Circus Baby, had state-of-the-art child murdering technology. It would lure kids in and shred them into human cheddar cheese. Things take a darker turn when William's own daughter Elizabeth falls prey to Circus Baby's wrist and is folded like a deck of cards. Circus Baby is, in turn, possessed by Elizabeth's spirit and continues murdering people for fun. Like father, like daughter, I guess. William closes Pizza World after his daughter's death and opens up yet another Freddy Fazbear Pizza location. It's pretty much the same drill. He murders children, stuffs them up in his animatronics, they get possessed, and then they kill people. How the heck is he even getting money to keep opening all these places? No one knows. But this time, a guard named Jeremy Fitzgerald is hired to look after the diner at night after the previous guard complained about conditions. Jeremy survives a few nights with the crazy animatronics out there to tap his ass at every corner, but eventually goes like, fuck it, I ain't paid enough for this, and goes MIA. Or maybe he is killed. No one knows for sure. And apparently, without a security guard, business cannot continue because the pizzeria is eventually closed. Soon after that, William sells his license of the Freddy Fazbear brand. In the early 90s, the pizzeria was opened again to reclaim its lost honor, this time under different management. The animatronics from the original Freddy Fazbear Pizzeria were brought back because, fuck it, we're not actually trying to serve pizzas like a normal diner, are we? But hey, maybe this time the animatronics will behave. Yeah, no, they'd killed a shit ton of guards to the point where they'd be getting replacements every week. Eventually, a new guard by the name of Mike Schmidt is hired. And guess what? Mike's real name is Mike Afton. Yeah, he is William's only living son. As soon as Mike joins his new line of work with totally very high survival rates and no fishy business, he is greeted by a shit ton of voice messages from the previous guard that had been murdered, giving him instructions on how to work effectively as you can among murderous animatronics, that is. Surprisingly, Mike is quite good at his job and survives an entire week with the demonic animatronics. But then, get this. He is fired because he was too good at his job. And then the guards that get hired afterwards are killed. Maybe it's just a skill issue after all. But of course, like every other scammy business, the pizzeria also came to an end. After some time, William Afton, being the deranged son of a bitch that he is, returns to the now closed Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria to dismantle the animatronics and recover some of his victims' remains. Why exactly? Well, not too sure, because he could either be into cannibalism or necrophilia. There's no knowing with this guy. But his operation backfires like hell when the ghosts of his many vengeful victims pull up on him to get his ass. They corner him into a room where he hides in his favorite spring bodysuit to avoid them. It's a great setup for an epic animatronic showdown like an episode of Power Rangers, but unfortunately for him, a leak in the diner building right above William causes the suit to malfunction. And as a result, its spring lock fails. This causes William to die a painfully slow death while his body is being turned into a Krabby Patty. The children's spirit finally finds some rest and leave this world for good. So I guess they really did have an option to not move on. But of course, there is no happy ending just yet. William's spirit now inhabits the spring bodysuit, turning it into another homicidal animatronic named Springtrap. So I guess he pretty much just evolved his suit like some sort of Pokemon and got a new name. But apparently, people still hadn't had enough because about 30 years after this incident, the pizzeria was reopened as a horror attraction by Fazbear Entertainment. Totally not a bad idea. William, now Springtrap, tries to kill yet another guard because apparently that's always their target demographic. Chaos ensues and the whole place is lit in flames. Everything burns to the ground, but Springtrap escapes. But no story is complete without corporate greed. So, after the horror attraction fails, Fazbear Entertainment comes up with a great idea to capitalize on their notorious horror brand and release a VR game featuring Freddy Fazbear as a horror mascot. They tried to recreate many of the infamous events in the company's history because, sure, a few people got murdered and shredded like paper, but who cares? Let's make some money off of it. Luckily, it's the first Freddy product that doesn't kill someone. But shortly after, Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex is launched, which is a full-on mall with multiple arcades and restaurants modeled on Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. And yes, of course, there are killer animatronics here too. But this time around, Freddy, known as Glamorous Freddy, actually pulls an Uno reverse and tries to be a hero by helping a lost kid named Gregory against his animatronic brethren. A final encounter with Springtrap occurs, and as usual, everything ends up burning to the ground. The Pizzaplex is closed, and Gregory is saved. Is Springtrap still alive? Will Freddy continue to be a symbol of animatronic furry justice? We still don't know. But what I do know is, if you don't like and subscribe, I'll stuff you in an animatronic next.